Hey friends, welcome back to the Global Daisies. If you've ever felt trapped in your job, staring at the clock, wondering if there is a way out, congratulations, you're human. But before you rage quit and start the dropshipping business or the crypto hustle, let's pause and rethink the 9 to 5 work trap. You see, everywhere you look, influencers, online courses, and those get rich quick schemes are screaming the same message. If you don't build your dream, somebody else will hire you to build theirs. Escape the rat race, start a business, invest like a billionaire. These are all the common themes that we hear very often. There's almost an entire industry that's built on convincing you that your job is terrible. And some of us may even be convinced. You know, it's actually an easy sell because some jobs can be soul crushing and can make you feel trapped. Think about it. If you're unhappy in your job, you're more likely to buy the next get-rich-quick course. If you're fed up with the corporate world, you might just splurge on an expensive vacation just to escape and unwind. And if you feel you're overworked, maybe that overpriced gadget suddenly seems well-deserved. But do you notice a pattern here? There's actually very little money to be made in convincing people to actually like their jobs. But definitely a lot more to sell if you're convinced otherwise. Right, now let's get back to the point. For many of us, it's not a 9 to 5 that we dislike. What gets us are the mundane things around it, such as the long commutes, rigid schedules, sometimes bad bosses, etc. Not all of us hate our jobs. In fact, some of us may really enjoy the work we do and therefore find ways to tolerate our jobs. While a job might just be something that you clock into every day, work is the purpose you pour your entire energy into. So instead of just taking the influencer's word at face value and trying to escape the rat race, we should actually put some thought and some effort into understanding how to make it work for us. In fact, there's plenty of research in top health and psychology journals that support the idea that the 9 to 5 work structure, despite its various flaws and shortcomings, is still one of the best deals workers have had in history. And it can only get better when the 4-day work week becomes the norm. So my friends, let's jog back our memories and go back into a little bit of history. The 40-hour work week did not always exist. In fact, in the early 1900s, people used to work 60 to 100 hours per week, often in very brutal conditions. Then came the great Mr. Henry Ford. Almost 100 years ago, in 1926, Ford Motors was the first company to ever introduce a 5-day, 40-hour work week. Not just because Ford was some workplace hero, but because he realized one thing, that workers with more free time would actually buy their cars and use them for their leisure activities. It sounds crazy in today's world, right? But guess what? It actually worked then. Productivity increased, and soon companies everywhere started following suit. In 1940, the 40-hour work week was enshrined into the US law and became part of the Fair Labor Standards Act. In modern times, of course, a 9 to 5 job may feel outdated. But in the grand scheme of work history, it's practically a luxury. Where the resentment comes from is in this. While the 40-hour work week should be a fair deal, today's corporate culture often ignores it. Studies show that workers in white-collar jobs often work 50 to 60 hours on an average a week. In fields such as law, medicine, investment banking, and technology, 80-hour work weeks are often very common. Why is this? Is it because of the money and the incentives, or is it because of the pseudo-prestige culture, the idea that suffering is a sign of success? Now, this isn't just bad, it is dangerous. A study by the World Health Organization found that working over 55 hours a week increases the risk of stroke and heart disease. Now, let's talk about those dream jobs that promise wealth in exchange for your soul. So, industries such as law, investment banking, big tech, and sometimes even medicine. You wouldn't really call medicine an industry, though, isn't it? It's more of a service. Yes, these careers can pay well globally, but they demand total commitment. A Harvard Business Review study found that burnout rates among high-achieving professionals are now at an all-time high, with many quitting in their 30s and 40s due to prolonged periods of stress. Many young professionals go into these careers thinking that they'll work hard for a decade, get rich, and then exit. But in reality, they get locked in by lifestyle inflation. More money, they buy bigger houses, fancier cars, and basically buy themselves golden handcuffs. Now, perhaps you might be thinking, or you might have heard other people say, okay, so why do you work 80-hour weeks in finance? Why don't you start your own business instead? It's a great idea, my dear friends, but there are points you need to consider before you jump off and start that business on your own. 60% of new businesses fail within the first 5 years. Only 25% of businesses last a full decade. And those that do survive, they take years to become profitable. In fact, studies have shown that the average startup founder works longer hours than most corporate employees and often earns less than a regular job during the first few years, and few meaning 3 to 4 years at least. And let's not forget, most small businesses require a significant upfront investment. And the irony is, business loans are harder to procure than student loans. And a success of any business always depends on a number of external factors as well, including market trends, timing, and sometimes just plain pure luck. If starting as a business is your calling, do it by all means. But not just because an influencer told you to do so, but because that is what fuels your passion. So before quitting your job, ask yourself, my friends, are you willing to work 80-hour weeks for an uncertain payoff? Can you survive financially if your business takes years to be profitable? And do you actually enjoy entrepreneurship? Or is it just that you hate your boss? Being your own boss sounds glamorous, it sounds great, until you realize that your new boss is the market, your customers, and the 24/7 stress. So here's the thing, my friends. Instead of constantly looking for an escape, why don't we focus on making our 9-to-5s work for us? For a start, we can negotiate a better pay. Studies have shown that most employees leave 10 to 20% of the salary on the table just by not asking. 2, we need to learn to set boundaries. Work your hours, but leave work at work. Upskill. The more skills you develop, the higher is your earning potential. And finally, if you can, find a job with a better work-life balance. There is no substitute for a work-life balance. A Princeton University study found that happiness increases with income, but only up to a certain level. And during the time the study was carried out, it was about $75,000 a year. Beyond that, job satisfaction has more to do with autonomy, work-life balance, and a meaningful work, more than just money. Chasing money can be exhausting, but chasing a good life, now that's a marathon worth running. So here's my opinion, my dear friends. The idea that the regular job is inherently bad is a lie, and it's sold by people trying to make money out of your dissatisfaction. Yes, the workplace is not perfect. It has its problems. But quitting for an easier alternative, which just simply does not exist in today's world, isn't the solution. It's about building the right career that works for you. And if you do want to quit, do it with a plan. Do it strategically. Build skills, try and have a financial cushion, and know what you're getting into. Now, not for a moment am I saying that every 9-to-5 is amazing. Some jobs can be absolutely terrible. But blindly chasing an escape without understanding the trade-offs can be a dangerous game. Now, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you love, hate, or just tolerate your job? And what is your ultimate plan? If you found this video helpful, my friends, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's debating quitting their job right now. Once again, this is the Global Desis. Many thanks for joining us, and I'll see you in the next one.